Cheapside. So if we click on here, we get a map which shows us where Cheapside is. Just here. Here is St. Paul's Cathedral. Threadneedle Street. So let's read about Cheapside. Cheapside was once an open market for its entire length, and derives its name from the Anglo-Saxon kipian, to sell or bargain. Not only is this oldest street in the city, but effectively it's the original High Street, and was already being mentioned by 1066 as West Keep. It was once a much broader and picturesque market thoroughfare, being several times wider than it is today. This street was the principal marketplace of the city, shown in the names of the lanes leading into it, such as Milk Street, Bread Street, Honey Lane, and Wood Street. These are all found at the western end of Cheapside, the St. Paul's end, reflecting that churches traditionally provided the centre point round which such markets became established. One writer, describing it in 1851, says that although inferior to many of the shopping streets that had been developed in the West End, it would strike a stranger with amazement. Walter Besant describes in London how in the Tudor age the shops on the south side were of grocers, haberdashers and upholsterers. Farther west, where the goldsmiths stood together, and then the mercers. The street was filled with people, some riding, some walking. There were gallants, followed by servants carrying their swords. There were grave city merchants and fine city madams. There were working men and craftsmen. There were apprentices too in every shop, hauling their wares. The Church of St. Mary le Bow was founded around 1080 as the London base of the Archbishops of Canterbury. The original medieval church survived 3 devastating collapses before being completely destroyed in the Great Fire of 1666. It was rebuilt by Wren, but destroyed again in 1941. After the war, it was again rebuilt slides down Cornhill 20 times in honour of Christmas Eve. In 1652, Pascal Rosé opened London's first coffee house, located in St Michael's Alley. Today it's the Jamaica Wine House, a pub, with a plaque on the wall marking its original role. And there you can see it. Here stood the first London coffee house at the sign of Pasqua Rosé's head, 1652. Covent Garden. Here is Covent Garden Market, and we have Henrietta Street, St Paul's, King Street, Bedford Street, Russell Street, Tavistock Street, Southampton Street. This area had already been walled off by 1200 for use as arable, land and orchards by Westminster Abbey, and was referred to as the Garden of the Abbey and Convent. It was later seized by Henry VIII and gifted to the Earls of Bedford in 1552. The fourth Earl commissioned the architect Inigo Jones to build residences to attract wealthy tenants, and he is responsible for the Italianate arcaded square along with the Church of St Paul's. A small fruit and vegetable market had already become established on the south side of the fashionable square by 1654. However, the market and surrounding area subsequently went into decline, and taverns, theatres, coffee houses and brothels opened. The wealthy residents departed, and rakes and even playwrights moved in. By the 18th century it had become a notorious red light district, and an Act of Parliament was passed to improve the area. Charles Fowler's neoclassical building was erected in 1830 for the fruit and vegetable market. The market's success started to improve the area, and the market grew in size, with additional buildings added, including the Floral Hall, Charter Market and the Jubilee Market. By the late 1960s, central London's traffic congestion was causing difficulties to the operations of the market, and in 1974 it relocated to the imaginatively named New Covent Garden at London's Nine Elms. And then down here we have quite an illustrative map, and in pink we can see where the area of Covent Garden was in 1572. Here is the Thames down here, and then here is a photograph of Covent Garden in Victorian times. Creed Lane. Here is a very bendy Creed Lane. Here is St Pauls Cathedral. Originally known as Spurrier's Row, from the spur makers who plied their craft here, but the present name dates back to the time of Queen Elizabeth. It has been suggested that at one time there was a regular religious procession around the area of St Paul's. During this procession, the Credo was allegedly recited in Creed is nearby. Thornbury's Old and New London, 1878, describes how the hall has a sculptured medallion of a country girl spinning with a distaff, emblematic of the name of the lane and of the thread used by cordwainers or shoemakers. The cordwainers were originally incorporated by Henry IV in 1510 as the cordwainers and cobblers. Now here's a photograph of another Wren church. The Sir Nicholas Cole Abbey and the College of Arms are both close by. Ely Place. Here is Ely Place. Here is Holborn. All the way along. The land was originally purchased by John de Kirby in 1280, who was appointed Bishop of Ely in 1286. Kirby left the estate to the See of Ely after his death in 1290. The gated road, which remains here today, was originally built by Robert Taylor in 1772 on land that was previously the site of Ely Palace, the London residence of the Bishops of Ely from 1290 to 1772. This is now said to be the last privately owned street in London. It was established as an exclave of Cambridgeshire for the Bishops of Ely and is managed to this day by its own body of commissioners and beadles. Access is via a gated road or via the narrow alleyway that links it to the old Mitre pub, although at other times during the week it can be entered from the north through a gate that links it to Bleeding Heart Yard. St. Ethelreda's Church in Ely Place is the former private chapel of the Bishops of Ely and is the only surviving building in London from the reign of Edward I, 1239 to 1307, despite being badly damaged during the Blitz of World War II. The gardens here were renowned for their strawberries. In Shakespeare's Richard III, Gloucester says to the Bishops of Ely, "My Lord of Ely, when I was last in Holborn, I saw good strawberries in your garden there. I do beseech you, send for some of them. A strawberry fair is still held here every June." And here is Ely Place in the 16th century by H. W. Brewer. Farringdon Street. Here is Farringdon Street. Here is Fleet Street. St. Paul's Church. Smithfield Market. The name Farringdon means fir-covered hill, and the surname of William and Nicholas de Farringdon, from which this area takes its own name, is likely to have originated from one of these places. They were two related eminent citizens and aldermen of the city of London in the early 13th century. Nicholas de Farringdon purchased this area in 1279 and became its alderman in 1281. Farringdon Street is now 1816. It was moved here in 1876 as a drinking fountain. The wolf head design allegedly represents the last wolf shot within the boundaries of the city. And here it is. Fleet Street. Here is Fleet Street, next to Temple Bar. Fleet Street is misnamed since it doesn't follow the course of the buried River Fleet at all, but instead leads towards where it once flowed. Fleet Street once bridged the river to Ludgate Hill, being the road that linked the City of London and the City of Westminster. In 1228 it was more accurately known as Fleet Bridge Street, until the name was changed in the 13th century. The old Fleet River itself actually flows under Farringdon Street and New Bridge Street, emptying into the Thames under Blackfriars Bridge. Fleet Street was once home to the British newspaper industry, and Fleet Street is still used as a shorthand to refer to the British print media. In its heyday, the novelist and journalist Sir Philip Gibbs described a very different world. The old Time reporter sometimes forgot to shave, wore a dress shirt for a week, was not above drinking a glass of beer with sporting gentlemen, pugilists and patrons of the underworld in the Black Lion or the Boar's Head. Some of these journalists of old were scholars and gentlemen who could roll out a leading article which would make governments tremble and statesmen grow pale or purple over their own breakfast tables. In the 16th century, Wynkyn de Worde, a printer and publisher known for his work with William Caxton, set up his press in this area, an event marked by a plaque on the nearby Stationers' Hall, which is situated close by off Ave Maria Lane. A building claiming to be the old curiosity shop of Charles Dickens fame is near to the Strand end of Fleet Street, lying just outside the city. The building dates back to the 16th century, and regardless of its dubiously claimed literary associations, it's a genuine reminder of a vanished London, caught in a pocket of time. Built using timber from old ships, it was once a dairy on an estate side streets which leads off towards Cheapside. A memorial garden can be found on the site of St Mary, Aldermanbury, a Christopher Wren church. That was damaged in the Blitz. Its remains were dismantled and rebuilt in Fulton, Missouri, in the US. Grub Street. Here is Grub Street, Artillery Ground. Grub Street, which no longer exists, Milton Street runs approximately where it once was, lay close to the Moorfields district in the Cripplegate ward, now dominated by the post-war Barbican Centre development. The area was originally marshland in the floodplain of the River Fleet. Grub Street's name became synonymous with hack writers who lived and worked here on the margins of the city's journalistic and literary businesses. The street was riddled with alleys and courts that were once typical of London, and the whole area was largely impoverished and full of flop houses, brothels and, the worst, even coffee houses. Samuel Johnson's famous dictionary stated that Grub Street was much inhabited by writers of small histories, dictionaries and temporary poems, whence any mean production is called Grub Street. Presumably he knew well what he was writing about. Johnson himself had lived here early in his career. Sweden's passage in Grub Street in 1791, here, rumoured to once have been home to Sir Richard Dick Whittington of Lord Mer, the fame and later of Sir Thomas Gresham. There we go. It's a very strange building. Guildhall. Here is the Guildhall. It has been suggested that one possible derivation of the word Guildhall comes from the Anglo-Saxon guild, meaning payment, with a guild hall, the place where citizens paid their taxes. The site where the Guildhall now stands has been used since at least Roman times. The outline of a Roman amphitheatre can be seen marked in the courtyard tiles outside, and is believed to have been the largest amphitheatre in Roman Britain. The Saxons also had their court of hosting here, and over the centuries the site continued to be developed, with the current building begun around 1411 and completed in 1440. The Guildhall is nowadays used to refer to the whole building, including its great medieval hall. As with much of the city, the Great Fire of 1666 caused damage and resulted in its rebuilding. Later damage was also caused during the intensive Blitz bombing of the Second World War. However, parts from earlier medieval times managed to survive, including some of the windows and the crypt. The Guildhall as it was around 1805. Hatton Garden. Here is Hatton Garden. The name Hatton Garden has its origins in the former garden of the nearby residence of the Bishop of Ely in Ely Place. This was gifted to Sir Christopher Hatton by Elizabeth I in 1581 during a vacancy of the see, and hence became his garden instead. As London developed, certain areas became dedicated to particular types of trade or business, and this area has been the centre of London's jewellery trade since medieval times. Today it is more diversified than in the past and is home to other industries including media and creative businesses. Perhaps more notoriously, the machine gun was also invented here. Sir Hiram Maxim owned a factory at 57 Hatton Garden, and in 1881 invented and started production of the Maxim gun, changing the nature of warfare with its ability to fire a devilish 666 rounds a minute. Ely Place is nearby, home to St. Etheldreda's Church, one of the oldest Roman Catholic churches in England, and one of the only two buildings in London that have survived from the reign of Edward I. Here is a picture of Sir Christopher Hatton, circa 1575. Okay, so we're going to leave it there. Next,